Where are we with Max? I've been thinking about that after the last video of talking about what happens to Aljo if he loses and Marab's a champion, or like, you know, what happens in that situation. This is the same question that we get asked about Max. Max is a champion. Well, was a champion. Apologies. But we all view him as a champion because he's just one of those guys that's everyone loves. But where does he go from here? He's lost to Volk. Not once, not twice, but 3 times. And, you know, argue what you will. I thought he won one of those fights. I think a lot of people thought he won 2. But it doesn't matter. Scorecards show that it's 3-0. And where does Max go from here? If he's the best in that division and nobody can get past him, what happens? Where does Max go? He's not just going to go fight again unless Volkanovski really calls for that fight, which he might, because if Volk beats Yair, Volk might go fight Islam again for, you know, a rematch, maybe in a fight or 2 after that. I don't know. But then that puts Holloway once again in a weird spot. If Volk goes to fight Islam again, that's a whole year gone pretty much, you know, camp for a handful of months. Then you got the fight. Then you got post-fight. Max has beat everyone in that division. He can just take challengers on, and I don't think he's a gatekeeper. I think he's too good to be a gatekeeper. This is where Max, I think, needs to go up. 155. He has options there. And I'm not saying go up to win the belt. I'm talking about if you're not going to be fighting for the belt, you might as well be fighting for more money, for more eyes watching you, for legacy. Everyone's going to remember a Conor Max 2. That'd be a fan. I'd buy that pay-per-view yesterday. Who wouldn't? Like, come on. We're all watching that. We're all watching any Conor fight. We're almost watching any Max fight. Put those 2 together, what happens? I know Conor's got, you know, the Ultimate Fighter with, you know, Poirier with Chandler right now. But the talks on that are just always changing, stalling. Conor's issues with USADA. Conor, them not announcing a fight, them kind of announcing a fight. We don't know what's going on unless it's official by Dana. We still don't know. And that's where I think Max could come in and swoop up some easy fights. Not easy as in easy for him. I'm just talking about easy to just get a fight. Be like, hey, I want to fight Conor. Conor's going to be like, yes, I'm going to fight Max, because he knows how big of a draw that is. He knows how much money that will be. And he knows that he's going to be the bigger guy. There's a lot of other guys that are in that potential there too. We got the entire division. You got Poirier again. Maybe Max and Poirier want to do a rematch for the interim. Like, you know, not for the interim, but how they did for the interim. There's Gaethje. Think about Max and Gaethje. Think about that fight. If Max doesn't get dropped against Gaethje, does he have the greatest chin of all time? Potentially. I'd already say he has one of the greatest chins of all time. He's never been dropped. And he's been fighting for how long now? Over 10 years in the UFC. So this is where I think this is what excites me, is that these opportunities and the change in the landscape of the UFC is a lot more super fights, a lot less, you know, structured, which can be fun to a degree. It has to be controlled. Chaos has to be controlled. You can't just let it explode, wildfire, because then it eats it up, and then issues just arise. I think the biggest thing we have to see here is that the fight has to make sense. And I think Max is in a position where he can ask for what he wants from the UFC, because they know he's going to show up. They know he's going to fight. They know he's going to put on a show. They know it doesn't matter if he wins, he loses, draw, whatever, he's going to come to fight. And that's that. Doesn't shy away from anyone. He wants to fight DC. And I know that's a joke. We're being sarcastic. He said he'd fight DC for the biggest daddest, or the daddest UFC fighter. Apologies. I can't remember everything, but yeah, this is like I said, I think this would be definitely interesting. Max has options. A lot of fighters in 155 have options. What happens? Who's Islam going to fight? What's going on there? I know that Beneil and we got Oliveira fighting in a couple weeks, or in a few weeks, in Vancouver. Is that the number one contender spot? I believe so. We were told that. That's a number one contender spot. But what if it isn't? What if somebody else comes in and swoops that away? What if Poirier comes and swoops away against Islam? What if Conor beats Chandler and calls out Islam and Dana likes that idea? Islam might not like that, but the money's right. Anyone would take that. And this is why, like I said, this is why it's very interesting. And I think this is why we have to move forward with these kind of things. I think Max has to speak out, say what he wants, because he's too good to be a gatekeeper for Volk. Like, he's better than everyone in that division except for Volk. So what does he do? We're in a peculiar spot, and it can be bad, but we can also make it good. And I think that's what Max Holloway should do. He should try to make this good. He should try to make the most out of it, because once he does, he could get some big fights, some big money. And we're all not going to complain about that. We're all going to like that for Max. So, catch you next time. Thank you for joining.